In my previous video, I spent some time critiquing what another YouTuber believes is the reason why Black women are the least married. This video is a continuation of my critique where I'm analyzing exactly her reasons and then I provide a pretty credible refutation as to why I don't believe it's true. But then later in the video, I actually present some actual reasons as to why I believe Black women are the least married. So go ahead. I hope you enjoy this video and take some time to listen. This is not a personal attack. I am a Black woman. I am raising two Black women, but I don't believe it's going to be useful for us to move this conversation forward if we continue to point to everything external and out there as to why we're not getting more favorable results. Grace and peace.
Why Black women are the least married. Okay? I ran across this young woman talking about this subject, and I thought I would address it because I don't think that a lot of our younger people understand why these things happen. Okay, let's look at it. Black women have always been the least respected women in the world. Black women. Okay, you can look at it. You know the reports. We've been raped, killed, uh, totally taken advantage of. You see, and because of slavery, our men were taught to disrespect us too. That's right, through slavery. You see, let's go all the way back and understand. Let's understand the basis of a lot of this. You see, during slavery, our men were were beaten down to nothing. They could not protect us at all. And then they were forced to see uh, white men taking advantage of us sexually, physically, whatever. And they were helpless. So, see, this what this does is that, remember, slavery worked on the black man's psychic. It destroyed the black man's psyche. The black man does not really respect his woman.
Okay, so there was so much to unpack there, and I'm sorry for the faces that I was making, y'all, because I just listen. I get real tired of listening to the "woe is me." Like if I hear one more Black person that was never a slave, knew a slave, just talk about slavery one more time, I'm just gonna scream. Listen, everyone knows my position. I believe that the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery here in America was an atrocity. But we're not going to be able to move forward as a people group if we don't understand slavery and contextualize it the way it should be, which is it is something that happened to us. It demonstrated how strong and resilient we are as a people. But in 2023, slavery has very little bearings on why you are not getting the results and the outcomes in your life today. If you are banking on the narrative of slavery to be your crutch, you are going to stay crippled. Slavery has nothing to do with why Black women today are the least married. You can continue to sell us this victimhood and this woe is me and the Black man's psyche was just torn down and because we was great and beaten and then the white man did this and the white man did that. You know what? You can tout that till the cows come home, but it's not going to change your outcome. Okay. I'm not being dismissive of slavery. What I am doing is I am putting it in its proper context. I gained strength from looking at what happened to my forefathers and my ancestors, the ones that actually survived. I gained strength and inspiration from the stories of Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington. You know, those people that were actual slaves that actually had the scars on their back and they rised above their circumstances. I use slavery as a springboard to push me further into being the person that I am today. I'm not using it as an excuse nor am I using it to explain away why I'm not getting the outcomes I want. To me, that's what weak minded people do. That's what victim minded people do. That is that is not the mindset of a person that actually believes that they're created in the image of God and they deserve value, dignity, and respect. That is not the mindset of an individual that actually sees themselves on a level playing field with everyone else just on the basis of them being human. That is the mindset and the narrative of people that still look at themselves as other or less than. Those are them hyphenated people, right? I'm an American that happens to be Black, but I'm not using slavery to explain why the women of my ethnic group are the least married. Why don't we actually get into some truth and examine the real reason why most Black women today are the least married? I will present to you reason number one. Black women are the least married today is because we've never been taught how to be a wife, nor were we taught to prioritize marriage. It's almost like expecting a 3-month-old baby to walk without giving them the tools and the resources and teaching them this is how you do it. Many of us never saw or witnessed a healthy marriage because if you're alive in 2023 today, 9 times out of 10, you were raised by a single mother, which means you had no history or experience, right? No observable reality to appeal to say, oh, this is how you vet a spouse, look for a spouse, prioritize marriage, start a family. You didn't see that. You were raised in an alternate reality where alternative families were the norm. I was one of those. Like I'm married, I've been married 16 years, but I never saw modeled before me a healthy family relationship with a mama and a daddy. Two, let's just be honest, ladies. How many of you were actually raised to be a wife? Not hopefully one day somebody will find you and want to marry you. I'm saying raised to be a wife, where time was taken to show you this is what it means to be a wife. A wife does this. A wife functions in this way. These are the responsibilities of a wife. This is how you support a husband. This is how you love your husband. These are the ways that you serve your family. These are tools that women are supposed to be raised with. And if we're honest, most of us were not raised to be wives. So are we shocked that we didn't get that outcome? It's by the grace of God that I am somebody's wife today because I recognized very early on, I don't want to be the next generation that looked like my previous generation and that there's value in being a wife and being married. I'm actually going to actively pursue that and put myself in position to do that. No, we weren't raised to be wives. We were raised to prioritize education, career, being successful in the eyes of the world, but family was either not on the list, or if it was on the list, it was a very low priority on the list, and we weren't given the tools on how to even do that well. We were taught you're going to stay in school, which is great, but you're going to pursue education. And we actually positioned ourselves. We went to certain schools. We pursued certain career paths. We actually weren't intentional. We had a map, a plan of attack on how we were going to achieve the goal of education and career. But we were never given the tools and the resources to put that same kind of energy into being someone's wife. So that is one reason why Black women are the least married in comparison to our white counterparts. We never saw it, we never experienced it, and we were not taught how to do it. We were raised to be single women, to do it on our own, but we were definitely taught that you need to be able to figure it out on your own. You can't depend on a man. You can't rely on a man. So you must do for self and figure it out on your own. If that was the messaging that you were raised with, then that's the outcomes that you're, by and large, are going to have. Number two, I mentioned that we hadn't really seen healthy families, like intact families, modeled before us. So we didn't really have a healthy model to replicate. But for the ones of us who did come from intact families where there was a mother and a father, we need to be honest and ask ourselves, did my mother ever teach me? Like, how, did she pass that skill set on to me? Because families are supposed to be generational. No, many of our mothers did not, because by the time that we were of age, our mothers had already, even if they were in intact marriages themselves, they had already begun to adopt a feministic worldview. And said they told us to do the opposite of the outcome that they had, not realizing that, wait a minute, my daughter might actually want to be married someday and she might want to have a family. They just expected us to figure it out. And then when we didn't figure it out and they're like, well, where are my grandbabies? You're sitting there looking at them like, how am I gonna give you grandbabies? Like, I don't know how to do that. I know how to work 70 hours a week, right? I know how to get a master's degree. I know how to write this term paper. I know how to direct people on my job. How to find a husband, I don't know how to do that. I don't even know where to meet one. Let's be honest, many of us that come from intact families, our parents just expected us to like catch the tool, catch the skill, but they weren't intentional and say, baby, this is how you do this, and baby, this is how you do that, and pay attention when this is happening. That's the type of person you. No, it wasn't discussed. They expected us to figure it out. Another reason why Black women are the least married, we don't want to have a conversation about it. But if you go down the list of ethnic groups and examine their women, would you agree that our poor attitudes and our social skills and way in terms of how we relate with each other and with the male counterparts, it's not healthy? Like, could it be that our poor attitudes, the stigma that comes with those attitudes, which, I mean, listen, our lack of ability to get along with each other and the opposite sex has a lot to do with the reason why we are the least married. If you stay in a perpetual state of fight or flight, if you stay in a perpetual state of being defensive all the time and always antagonistic and just having a bad attitude and a negative disposition, and you're uncooperative and you're just disgruntled all the time and argumentative, no one is going to want to enter into a one flesh union with women who act like that. We're not known for being softer and feminine. And hear me clearly when I say this. I get it. I'm rough around the edges myself. But when it comes to how I engage with my husband, I can't engage with him like that. Why? He would have run for the hills a long time ago. I had to learn. You don't talk to a man any old kind of way. A man deserves respect. Yes, respect. He needs to be respected. You can say you love him all day long, but if you don't show him any respect, you're already defeated. A man will run to the moon and back for you and do it all over again if he knows that his woman respects him. So your lack of cooperative, agreeable, pleasant disposition has a lot to do with why you're not married. Notice how so far of all of the things that I've talked about to answer the question why Black women are the least married, only one of them you can attribute to something else out there that you didn't have any control over, and that's the fact that you weren't even raised to be a wife. So accountability is big. And I don't want to dismiss the fact we have to have a conversation about the fact that many of us were not raised to be wives. And because we weren't raised to be wives, we weren't taught to prioritize being somebody's wife. Are we shocked that we don't have that outcome? And at the latter part of our life, we're like, you know what? I am getting the outcomes based on what was sown into me. But just because that is what is sown into you doesn't mean that it's too late for you to learn. But you can't learn if you refuse to at least acknowledge that I wasn't equipped to get the outcome that I now desire. I wasn't raised to be a wife. I've never seen it modeled before at me. I have no concept of what a wife is and what's supposed to do. I had bad examples set for me. I need to equip myself and to do something different. If you're a Christian woman on this live, the equipping yourself to do something different, the answer is found in God's word. And it's definitely not found in listening to these toxic, misandrous voices on the internet who don't even have the outcomes that you desire, but rather they old and lonely themselves. No offense. No offense. I'm just saying, don't listen to people who don't have the outcomes that you want and are telling you and trying to instill into you worldviews that are directly opposite to God's written word. You cannot expect to get godly outcomes and you're putting in your mind ungodly, unbiblical foolishness. Another reason why Black women are the least married is because we, by and large, adopted feministic, a feministic and gynocratic social order. What do I mean by that? Many of us still have the desire to actually want to bear children, but have the audacity to want to bear children without the commitment of marriage and the man that comes with it. We just want to, we're just selfish and we just want the kid. We want the kid, but we don't want the man. We're unwilling to put things in proper biblical order and we want to put the cart before the horse. We accepted the lie of feminism that says you can do it all on your own and that all of these other alternate family relationships were equal and on par with the traditional nuclear family. Well, when you reject the traditional nuclear family, the byproduct result of what you end up getting, it ain't what you want. It's hard. It's hard being a wife and a mom in an intact family. But somewhere along the line, feminism told you that you could just go freeze your egg, go get you a baby, and raise that baby on your own without help. And don't think that that child is going to be deficient. Why would you be so selfish and want to purposely bring a child into the world under those conditions, knowing how hard it's going to be, knowing that you know the statistics of children raised without a father? So when we adopt the feministic and gynocratic social order of things, that's definitely going to keep you unmarried. Why? Because men are not attracted to female leadership. They're just not. No man is going to want to be with a woman who is constantly asserting the fact that she doesn't need him, that she can do all of it by herself. She can provide for herself. She can do all of these things for herself. What does he need to come into your life for? To sing kumbaya? No. There is no place for him in your life because you've not structured your life where a man can actually see that's a woman right there that needs me. She needs me, and I'm going to give her the world, and she's going to respect me, and she's going to trust that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do because I'm a man of my word. No, in the gynocratic order operates from a place of distrust. What we do is we internalize all of the stories of our old aunties and grandmama and mama and them of he ain't no good and you gonna give your all to him and all he gonna do is just step on you and trash you and leave you with all them kids. We internalize all of that gynocratic messaging and then we take it out with us into the world, and all of the weight of all of that and the stench, because it's a stench, the stench of all of that is on you. So when a man actually meets you, he can automatically see what place that you operate from. Always on the defensive, always expecting the worst, can't think the best of a person, incredibly insecure. You know, those are attitudes and dispositions of a woman that has a gynocratic mindset. No, that repels marriage because it repels men, because men are like, nah, she can have that. She can keep that. There are a number of reasons why Black women are the least married, but slavery and the white standard of beauty are not even in the top 10. I'm sorry. There's no way you can convince me that slavery, this many generations removed from slavery, are inadvertently affecting Black women's inability to be cooperative, to be submissive, to be friendly and pleasing. There's nothing that you can convince me that slavery has done that somehow has altered our DNA to where now we're just perpetually disrespected, and that's why we're the least. Men desire and they want to be with their women, but they don't want to be with ones that they got to fight all the time. They don't want to be with ones that want to be the man. If you don't lay down this feminism and this gynocratic social order and recognize that the patriarchy has not done anything to you other than to try to create a social order patterned after the scriptures that work when done properly. Here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that sinful, fallen human beings don't cause a lot of bad things to happen to people. We live in a sinful world. But this idea of thinking that we're the least married because of white supremacy, and we're the least married because of some white standard of beauty, it's preposterous and it is silly. And I have to reject it. I have to reject it. Because Black men are still getting married. They're just not marrying us. They are finding like-minded women who happen to not look like them, and they're going to marry those women, and they're raising families with those women. We can keep pointing. We can keep pointing out there, and we can keep saying that the problem is out there. Or we can finally sit down and say, I need to self-examine and look at my whole entire life to determine, was I raised to be a wife? Okay, well, if not, well, where can I go to get the tools on how to be that? Because I actually do desire. And do I have a bad attitude? Do I actually repel men because I'm too aggressive and I want to be in charge and I don't know how to fall back? And forget being a wife, don't even know how to be a good friend, right? Do I even conduct myself like a wife? Or do I buy into the culture that tells me that it's appropriate for ladies to twerk on tables, or it's appropriate, to expose, all of myself on social media, because that's what's in style and that's what's hot. Honestly, we've abandoned a moral standard, which really comes from our suppression of the truth about God and us being created in his image. We've just abandoned God. And I'm not saying that that is a uniquely Black woman's problem. No, but that's part of it. That is part of it. We've abandoned a moral standard that is found in God's word, and we've done something, wait for it, we've abandoned pure and undefiled religion and traded it in for I'm just spiritual. I'm not religion. Why? Because feminism taught us that religion was oppressive, and that's the oppressive white man's religion is the reason why all these things happen to us. No, we need to get back to biblical basics. We need to get back to biblical basics. Our churches are out of order because they're run by women. Our churches are reflective of a feministic, gynocratic order. And so that's one reason why we're the least married, because Black men don't flock to churches led by Black women. But you can find a whole lot of other Black women in these churches. The doctrinally sound churches are overwhelmingly more men than women. But the churches that are gynocratic with a feministic social order within them and in their ranks and in their leadership, yes, they're primarily women and there are no black men there. And there's not a lot of men there, period, in general. But every doctrinally sound church that I've gone to, there are men leading, men in charge, and it's full of families, men and women married in holy matrimony with children. But when you go to these churches that are led heavily by women, it's more women than men because the men are absent. They don't want to be there because it's toxic. Toxic feminism and gynocratic social structures is one of the main reasons why Black women are not married. And that same toxic feminism and gynocratic social structure, it's crept into the church. It's crept into the church. It's infected every aspect of the social order in American culture. And in turn, it does impact the outcomes that Black women have as it relates to marriage. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and share this other reason why she claims Black women are the least married, and then I'll come back and engage with it.
Let me tell you, being married is not all that that is. What do I say? Chalked up to be.
Mm.
It really isn't. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what. Every marriage has challenges. Now, whether you're willing to go through those challenges just to have a partner, that's on you. But see, a lot of black women, they want their partner to be a black man. But black men have too many issues. They are still trying to find themselves from slavery, trying to find their place in the world from slavery. You understand? And I'm telling you, if they make something out of themselves, a lot of them want to have the white woman because they think that's top shelf. They get them a white woman because the system has made everybody believe that whiteness is right and whiteness is the standard of beauty. So they figure if they make a lot of money in their lives, why not get the best? A white woman. And the person that lead the black woman. Sitting at home raising those kids that the black man left her with. That's what happens. That's what happens. Black men do not really respect their women the way they should. They definitely don't protect us. And this came from slavery. Because during slavery they were not able to protect us. And so because many of them were forced to rape us, whether we were their sisters, their mothers, their grandmothers, this incest.
I'm sorry, I have to stop it because the level of foolishness it was just at an all time high for me, and it was making me itch. So, let's deal with the argument. As she said, all marriages have challenges. Absolutely. Like marriage is a sanctifying work of the Lord, right? You got two fallen, sinful people coming together in a one flesh union where you constantly have to die to yourself daily and submit to the Lord. So yes, marriages come with challenges. And so unbelieving marriages, I'm sure come with challenges. But that does not excuse or explain away the fact that why are black women unable, why are we at the bottom as it relates to marriage rates? So she presents that another reason why black women are not getting married because black men, y'all have too many issues because of slavery. Okay, so let's just she doesn't say what those issues are, but I'm not even a black man and I was highly offended by hearing her say that black men have too many issues. She doesn't talk about the issues that black women have, but she talks about black men having too many issues. We know that 50% of Black men are single and childless, right? Um, and in terms of their earning capacity or earning potential, they are earning. Black women have outpaced Black men in earning. But my question is, what has outpacing our men in earning done for the state of the Black family? It is caused the Black woman to be elevated with a sense of pride to where now it's easy to discard the man because it's like, well, you're not even making as much money as I am. So what do I need you for? Right? Some of these issues that she speaks of, if 80% of women are filing for all of the divorces, I don't want to hear any talk about Black men having too many issues and how we're leaving our marriages, leaving you with them kids and getting a white woman. The statistics don't bear that out. If 80% of all marriages are filed by a woman, if they're filed by the woman, how is he leaving you with the kids to go get a white girl? So instead of you just engaging with what is actually happening, instead of this Black woman engaging and examining what are Black women doing, because even despite the fact of what we're doing, Black men are not breaking up their homes. We're the ones breaking up our homes. It's because our value system is so warped. What we place on a high level of importance is so twisted and messed up that we're actually breaking up our homes. The men are not leaving, the women are leaving. And not only are we leaving, but we're literally shipwrecking the man's life through the family court system and the child support system. Oh, yes, I'm going to talk about it because don't nobody want to talk about how vindictive women can be when it comes to the child support system and the family court system. And it's all driven by money and greed. I might need to do a whole completely separate show about that. I can't really get into it now, but that is happening. But when she says that, you know, Black men have been taught because of slavery that white is right. So therefore, when they get a little money, they go and get top shelf and get a white woman. To hear a Black woman speak this way tells me that you actually have a feeling of inferiority. You've actually feel inferior to a white woman to say something like this. To think that a man leaves, if let's just go with the narrative, black men are leaving Black women in droves, in mass, leaving their own children behind to go pair bond with white women. Let's just go with that narrative for a minute. Let's go with it and let's say that is true. If that is happening, how is it that how is it that you view the fact that they left you, who happens to be Black, for a white woman? Why is it that you view him leaving you as them being superior and you're inferior, unless you're projecting feelings of inferiority on yourself? There's never any self-examination that, perhaps it really didn't have anything to do with her skin color, but it had everything to do with maybe culture. When I say culture, I'm talking about habits and disposition and how you interact in a society based on generally accepted norms. How do Let me see how I want to say it. If a man let's say if a Black man leaves a Black woman and leaves her for a different Black woman, we never say that it has anything to do with their ethnicity because the ethnicity is the same, but there has to have been something that was wrong here that caused him to leave to want to go here. But somehow, if a man leaves one woman who happens to be Black for another woman who happens to be white, we insert the fact that, oh, it's because the white is top shelf. No, that's your inferiority complex coming out. You actually believe that you're less than a white woman and that the reason why he left was solely because she was white and not solely because there's something wrong with you and he wanted to get the heck away from you. We never think that. We never even leave room for the possibility because our needle is so stuck on whiteness and racism and white supremacy that we don't take any time to work on ourselves, self examine ourselves, and to figure out from our own men. We're not listening to what they're saying. It's not your color, it's your culture. Your culture, these cultural norms of being combative, argumentative, unable to reason with and get along with. We don't want peace. We always want to argue. We always want to fight. There got to be drama. You got to be insecure. Like, no man, I don't care how strong he is, at some point, I done had it up to here. He can only take but so much. So listen, at the end of the day, this messaging is toxic and it is offensive. And all it does is allow Black women to do more of the same, which is refuse to take accountability and point to everyone and everything and every system out there other than accepting the fact that I have issues. I have issues, that I have traumas that not from slavery, but they're just some sort of trauma somewhere, some sort of issue in my life that I have yet to resolve that makes me difficult to get along with and to be around. And until I deal with those issues and get healing and get secure in my identity in Christ and who I am always going to have issues in all relationships, whether those are work relationships or romantic relationships or family relationships. At the end of the day, we just need to deal with ourselves and deal with our issues, repent of our foolishness, and turn to the Lord. So, what do you think? Do you think that all of the excuses or reasons that she presents are reasons that we need to explore as being viable, that have a legitimate bearing on why Black women are the least married? Or do you believe they're just excuses and a scapegoat to escape of accountability, and we're just going to end up with more of the same, and that nothing's going to change because we haven't gotten to the root of the problem? Because I believe that she really thinks that this is getting to the root of the problem by blaming white supremacy and racism and Black men can't get themselves together. I never once heard her talk about what's going on with Black women as a whole, but it was more so of, I have to blame something else out there as for the reasons why I'm not getting the outcomes that I seek or desire. This messaging is toxic, and I would encourage anyone to reject it. No offense. I don't know her. I don't know her, but it seems like there's a seed, a root of bitterness that is rooted deeply in many of our women. And if we don't deal with that root of bitterness, all it's going to do is breed more bitterness and discontentment. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Grace and peace.